I don't know about you guys, but I have not heard a damn peep about Elio for the past few months. I remember watching the trailer like 2 years ago and then hearing it got delayed, and then I honestly completely forgot it was coming out until earlier this week when I was at the mall and saw this advertisement on an escalator. I guess the ad was pretty effective at letting me know this exists, I'll give it that. The movie didn't really look all that interesting to me, and I didn't really hear anyone clamoring for me to review it, but I figured, what the hell, I have a free afternoon. No reason to break my streak of reviewing Pixar movies now, even though I feel no passion for doing so anymore. No, but seriously, Elio is pretty cute. I wouldn't say it's a particular low point for Pixar this decade, but with that said, I can't exactly call it a high point either. It's maybe the most fine Pixar movie I've ever seen, possibly. Like, I watched it and was mildly engaged, but not that engaged, and then I left the theater and didn't think about it again until it came time to write this review. The opening with him on Earth is basically stuff that's been done in a million other movies. It reminded me a lot of a lesser Lilo and Stitch, which is weird because Disney already released a lesser Lilo and Stitch a few weeks ago. No, I am not reviewing that ever, by the way. God, what a waste of time that would have been. But yeah, his parents died, and for a second there, I thought this would be a compelling movie about that sort of grief. But the whole dead parents thing doesn't exactly come up that much. He's living with his aunt, who basically serves the nanny role to a T, except she's not nearly as well-rounded of a character due to her lack of screen time. Seriously, once Elio gets abducted by aliens, she barely shows up until the ending. I kept waiting for them to do more with her and show her coming to a certain realization and grappling with her love for the real Elio, but that just never comes. It's all off-screen, which I found really weird. I'm being a bit vague to avoid potential spoilers, but I think you'll know what I mean if you see the movie. It feels like there were large chunks of her subplot missing that could have really developed her and her relationship to Elio a lot better. That's the other thing about this movie. Apparently it was one of those troubled production kind of Pixar joints, which probably explains the delay. I only found that out after watching it, but it puts a lot of problems with the film into perspective. The pacing is really choppy. After the opening stuff on Earth, which I feel goes on a little bit longer than it should, we kinda rush through the introduction to this alien place, only to get shoved into the introduction of the main villain. He's okay, by the way. I would rank him here. Speaking of okay, the same goes for all these alien council members. They have neat designs, but I can't really say I got attached to any of them. They barely get any characterization, and the little that's shown is just extreme cowardice in the face of the villain. So it's like, am I supposed to get invested in these guys, or what? Honestly, I can't say I got all that invested in any characters, except for one. Halfway through the movie, Elio meets this little slug guy, and I love him. He's so adorable and funny, and I would die for this dude. But again, I feel like this happens way later into the movie than it should. The movie isn't really that engaging, or doesn't have that strong of a hook before we meet the little slug dude. From there, I started to get into it a little bit more, but before then, it was cute, with a bunch of elements I've seen in other movies, but that's about it. I read some reviews saying this is one of the funnier Pixar movies, and like, not really. This really has nothing joke-wise on Golden Age Pixar, or even more recent films like Luca or Turning Red. I also think the emotional core is fine, but just rather underdeveloped and a bit lacking. Elio makes a decision at the end, and it's pretty obvious that he's gonna make that decision, but not really because it feels earned within the narrative, more so because that's how kids' movies end, you know? The climax was also a bit dull, and I shit you not, this movie has the exact same conflict resolution as a certain really bad DreamWorks movie. You can see which one in my Letterboxd review, I won't spoil it here. But yeah, that was kind of funny, I thought. Overall, I thought this was a fine enough movie. Parts of it were good, parts of it were kind of boring. I don't think anything in the movie was outright bad, and I especially think kids are gonna really enjoy this one. I mean, it has kid protagonist and silly aliens, but there isn't really a lot to get out of this if you're over the age of 12, in my opinion. I feel like some of Pixar's more recent offerings do still offer a lot for adult audiences, but I don't think this is one of them. I also think this is pretty in line with that Pete Docter interview from last year, which I made a video on, where he says they're gonna try and create more relatable stories that all sorts of audiences can enjoy, without getting into an ultra-specific cultural context. I don't know though. I hate to keep bringing up Lilo and Stitch, but that movie has a real stunner of a scene with the aloha oi moments. That wouldn't exist without the context of Hawaiian culture being utilized for emotional effect. This movie just feels like it's trying to be as generically human as possible. While I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy it, it just didn't really hit for me as much as it clearly wants to. There was definitely something great in here that might have gotten a little watered down until it became fine. It's a fine movie. See it if you want. 6 out of 10. I know I've given a lot of Disney movies 6 out of 10s, like Ralph Breaks the Internet or Raya and the Last Dragon, and then I backtrack on that, but this one really is a 6 out of 10, I think. There's not really anything infuriating that's gonna get worse over time. Oh, and if you're one of those people who says, "Oh, why can't you more heavily encourage people to see this movie? Don't you want them to support original films in theaters?" Well, yeah, but if you watch stuff that isn't just mainstream animated kids movies, you would know that there are original films in theaters. Sinners was great, and it really took over the box office. The Phoenician Scheme is an awesome, fun, and emotional time, with Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston performing in one of the funniest movie scenes I've seen in quite a while. Earlier this year, I saw Nickel Boys, Sing Sing, and I'm Still Here, which are all fantastic. I don't know what to tell you. Obviously, mainstream animated movies can be great, or even masterpieces now and again, but if you seriously think there's no good original films in theaters to support, maybe you should, I don't know, open your eyes? And since this is a modern Pixar review, I'm gonna end things off by once again recommending a cool indie animated feature for you to enjoy. Tamala 2010, A Punk Cat in Space, is a really cool sci-fi dystopian feature that also manages to be very cutesy and fun. It's also vulgar and very much not a kid's film, but it's a really intriguing watch that I've never quite seen anything like. And despite the character designs and the way they move being a bit crude due to the low budget, the animation can be very striking, and those same crude designs serve as a wonderful contrast to some darker and more stylistic elements in the film later on. You can watch it for free on the Internet Archive website. Seriously, there are no strings attached, no ads, just watch it. And I'm not gonna say don't go see Elio if it interests you. Check that out too, if you want. Don't feel obligated because people on Twitter will yell at you saying you're the reason we're getting Toy Story 6 or whatever. It's up to you if it looks good, that's all. Good night, people of Earth.